Hello everyone, welcome to the 4LadsHadADream podcast. This is the March edition. My name is Stevie Clifford and we are in unprecedented times. The country is in a bit of lockdown at the moment, and it's kind of fortunate for us because today I'm joined by Rangers first team goalkeeper Mr. Andy Firth. Andy, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, as I said, it's all a bit strange. It's 2 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, and things are different. But it's great that you can join us. And I know a lot of people they're craving Rangers news. We're craving Rangers content, so it'll be nice to speak to you.
That's fine. I'm in the same boat as they are.
Yeah, it certainly is. So with that in mind, Andy, obviously, you're now at Rangers. You started off at Liverpool under 11s. You had spells at Chester and Barrow. We'll talk about your kind of career and your coaching badges and things in a little bit. But this really is, it's unprecedented times at training. So what's happening with yourself now with regards to training and day-to-day things that you would normally be doing?
Well, when the Old Firm got cancelled on Friday, we were just told that everyone had a couple of days off and we were going to go back in at the start of this week on Tuesday, and then obviously with the SPFL cancelling the St Mirren game as well, that's changed the schedule again. So as it stands, we're supposed to be going back in Friday and Saturday for a couple of days training, but obviously nothing's been confirmed yet. We're just waiting to see what the government do or anything like that. So it's still fairly uncertain, but we've been given programs by the sports science staff and stuff like that, just to keep ourselves fairly fit and ticking over, and just trying to stay as healthy as possible.
That's actually answered one of the things I was going to ask you rather. Is the club in regular contact with regards to the players and keeping you right physically and kind of mentally? Because it must be difficult, because as footballers you've got to be permanently switched on, ready to go, but there's a massive sense of uncertainty amongst obviously everybody. So how do you keep that going and keep yourself ticking over and in the right frame of mind to be ready to go basically at any point?
Yeah, I think the physical side's easy. Obviously, we get given schedules to do bits of gym work we can do at home, and obviously runs and walks and stuff we can go on. It's a little bit hard because we're trying to stay away from the training ground as much as possible, just to try and stay as safe as a group. And then we can't use normal gyms for obvious reasons. So it's really just trying to keep yourself ticking over at home where you can, and keeping outside in the fresh air and stuff, just to keep your body working. The mentality side is probably the hardest thing, just because there's no set dates. So even when you get a month off in the off season, you know exactly when you're coming back. You know exactly what you have to do to make sure you're ready for it. But this time, this is the first time in my career, and I'm pretty sure it's the first time in most careers where no one really knows exactly what's going on. So yes, it is tough to deal with, but it's just part of the job. You just got to make sure you stay switched on, and then hopefully, as soon as this all passes over, we can all get back to work.
What's the morale like amongst the boys? Because obviously, you're not in a dressing room with them at the moment, but there must be kind of group chats. You'll speak to, I should imagine you're close to like Flano and stuff like that. What's the morale amongst the boys, and how are they keeping themselves going? Is the break maybe a wee bit of a good thing in terms of it allows the players a break, get back switched on mentally, or is this just a sort of crazy time?
Yeah, you're right. It's a crazy time. It's something that we've never had to deal with before. To be fair, we're all in regular contact in the group with obviously messages from the staff get put in there through Tav. And there's always, no matter what's going on, there's always a few jokes and a few laughs getting put in the group chat to keep us, just to stay in contact with the lads and have a good laugh whenever possible. But like I said, it's just no one really knows exactly what's going on, and we're all in the same boat, just waiting for definite answers. But obviously we're in a situation where they're probably not going to come too soon, so we've just got to try and stay fit and healthy and stay switched on as we can, and then whenever the call comes that we're going back into train, then make sure we're all fit and ready to do so.
With that said, and before we kind of will go back to Rangers and training and that at the start, but I wanted to talk to you a wee bit about obviously your career. And you started at Liverpool, you joined as a number at the under 11s.
Yeah.
Who were your early influences and early heroes at that point? You're obviously a massive Liverpool fan, so who was your early kind of influences and heroes at that point?
Well, not surprisingly, my idol and my hero growing up was the Gaffer. So, being a massive Red, everything that happened to me as a Liverpool fan was mainly down to him. All the way through from 2001 was the first season I really remember when they won the treble, through to the Champions League, the FA Cup, things like that. He was the one that when I was just a fan before I started playing, he's the one I fell in love with, and he made me love Liverpool. But then as I got to know him when I was training at the first team, and when he came back as an under-18s coach and I got to work with him, just how much of a great person he was, and he didn't live up to the... I know a lot of people say you should never meet your idols, but he's definitely an exception to that rule, just because everything he did on and off the pitch, he just set the example and set the bar so high for everyone to follow that it's just that's what I always looked up to, especially when I got to know him, that he wouldn't say second best in anything, and he always drove the best out of himself in the team he was playing in or coaching.
That's an interesting thing you bring up, because I'm not surprised to hear you say kind of Steven Gerrard, but I was going to ask you later, but it seems a perfect time to ask you now. It may seem silly, but were you kind of, was there a sense of like kind of being starstruck when you first worked with him, and especially now kind of at Rangers, or is that well past now, and is it just now Steven Gerrard, the manager, is completely different to the kind of football icon that he is to everybody else?
Bit of both. The first time I met him, we went up to, the kids used to go up to Melwood to meet the first teamers around Christmas and get pictures and autographs and stuff, and that was the first time I actually met him. And yeah, he was definitely the one picture and autograph I wanted. And then even the same when I first started training with him a couple of times, it was just like surreal. It just didn't feel like I was just a normal Liverpool fan, just literally living the dream. But then obviously it'll never wear off. You sometimes you'll have to pinch yourself and think that the reason I play football is Steven Gerrard and he's now my boss. But now I just see him as he's a good, I wouldn't say a friend, but he's someone who's very close to me in the football world, and he's done a lot for me, especially since moving me up here and stuff like that. So I'll always be grateful for him, and he will always be my idol, and he knows that. But at the end of the day, he's my manager now. So if it comes to it where he's got to give me a bollocking or he's got to give me a well done, and you've just got to take it like you would with every other manager.
See, when we go back and we think about your time at Liverpool Academy and growing up through Liverpool, who were the standouts that you played with? Because obviously we see you on social media and that you seem to be close to Harry Wilson, who's a fantastic player. Who did you play with growing up through the academy, and who were the guys that really stood out?
I was very lucky. I was in a very good youth team, and so obviously, yeah, Harry Wilson was in my youth team. Ryan Kent, Shea Ojo, both in my youth team. Jordan Rossett was the captain, along with Tom Brewitt, who's at Morecambe. So for Rangers fans, there's a few names they'll know. But yeah, we were very lucky to have just a very good youth team, and thankfully quite a lot of the lads have gone on and made themselves a good career. And obviously Raz has come up here and he's done so well. Wilson's in the Prem now doing what he's doing. Tom Brewitt's down in League 2 at Morecambe, but he was a centre after the kid. He wasn't quite tall enough, or a lot of people said he wasn't tall enough. But now playing in midfield, and he's played 30 odd games this season, and so he's obviously done really well for himself and still in regular contact with all the boys. And it's just good to see your mates doing well.
How much did you work with Michael Beale as a coach at Liverpool? I know obviously he was at Chelsea, he's went to Brazil and things, but were you coached by him at an early level as well?
Yeah, I was coached by him he's probably the person who's coached me the most in my career. So when he first joined from Chelsea, he came and took over the under-16s, which was my age group. So I got a year at the 16s with him. I then did a year and a half with the 18s with a different manager, and then I moved up to the reserves, and that's where Bealsy was by that time. So, and then I had about 3 years in the reserves with Bailey. So looking at probably best part of 4.5 seasons with him, and then obviously the last year or so at Rangers I've had him again. So he's been brilliant for me. Same as the gaffer, he's given me the kick up the arse when I needed it. He's given me the bollockings when I needed it. He's given me the praise and the high fives and looked after me when I needed him to. So on the pitch, I don't think I'd say he's the best coach I've worked with easily. But off the pitch, he's a great fella. He's always asking about my mum and dad and sister's girlfriend and things like that. He's a great person as well, which obviously helps to build good relationships with.
Yeah, Michael, is somebody that's always been very good with myself. If I've got a question or something, I'm not somebody that understands tactics and things so much. I'm more of a kind of just a normal guy that sits in the crowd and things. But I always like to read what Michael's got to say, and the things that he does with his blogs and things like that.
Yeah,
that leads me to ask you, Andy. You have your coaching badges, is that right? And how did that come about at such an early age?
Yeah, so when you're part of in England, if you're a scholar, you have to do your FA level 1, which is like the basic grassroots, like under 10, something like that. So we had to do that with our scholars, and then a couple of us wanted to just carry on doing them. So I think it ended up being, there was me, Brew, Jordan Rossiter and Conor Randall ended up doing our level 2 the year after, just to get that done. Found it interesting. Really enjoyed doing the coaching, and then the opportunity came this summer after, at the end of the season, that we could go and do our B licence. So me and Tom Brew went down and did that. We did 2 weeks, a 2-week crash course with the PFA just to get them rattled off. So managed to get my UEFA B licence, and then the summer after I did my goalkeeping B licence. So that's all I've got up to at the moment. But obviously that puts me in good stead, and I always remember that the gaffer did his part of his B licence with us at the academy, and I just remember him saying, like, if you can get them done, just get them done, because now I'm 36, 37, whatever he was at the time. I've got 3 kids, but I want to be a manager. I want to be a coach, so I need to get these done. And if I look back now, I wish I could have done them when I was 17, 18, 19. I had all the time in the world, no responsibilities, and just all the time to get the coaching qualifications done and actually go and coach bits and bobs wherever I could. So that obviously stuck with me and Brew, and we just wanted to get them all rattled off as soon as we could. We're still in contact now, so I'm always speaking to Brew every day. So the plan is he's going to be the manager and I'll be his goalie coach somewhere in 20 odd years time. But yes, we want to get our A licenses done at some point, and then that's pretty much as far as we can go. So it's just something we've both always been leaders in different ways, but I just feel like I've always wanted to go into coaching. That's always been my backup plan if the football didn't work or when the football stopped. So that's where I see myself after football, or after the playing, I should say.
That's it's unusual that a player at such an early age, because you're very much still a baby in terms of your football career, and especially as a goalkeeper, because goalkeepers tend to peak and play longer than others. But you know, we spoke to Dean Shields last month, he's really close to Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis is obviously coming now towards his kind of his latter years in his career, and he hasn't thought about his coaching badges yet. So yeah, it's certainly interesting to see you've done that. But it's also, I suppose it gives you that security as well, as if something did happen or didn't work out. So it's interesting, certainly. But going back to your kind of football career, pre-Rangers, obviously January, you've had first team football at Chester and Barrow. How much did you enjoy that, and how much experience has that given you at an early age going forward?
Oh, massive! That was I went on loan. My first ever loan was at Whitton Albion. So they're when I went there, they were in the 8th tier of English football. So they were three levels below the conference, and I was only 18 at the time. But just going there and playing men's footy I was there for 3 months, played about 15, 20 games, and just like, it really opened my eyes up where academy football is all about playing nice football and looking pretty and good technical players. And then I got thrown into a room full of 20 blokes, and no one really cares about how you win. It's just go and win. Don't care if it's pretty, ugly, there's a fight, it doesn't matter what happens, as long as you get a good result, then that's all that level was about. And then so that really opened my eyes to it. And then when I got the chance to go to Chester, they were in a bit of a financial crisis at the time, so Liverpool offered to send me there for free. So I managed to go there for 3 months, and I think I played about 20 odd games for them as well. Just, it was brilliant for me, obviously stepping up a few divisions, and I just really got the knack of just playing week in, week out, playing Saturday, Tuesday and things like that, which I hadn't done since I was at Whitton because of injuries and not being picked and things like that. So it was good for me just to get up a couple of levels into the conference, and then at the end of that season, I signed another year at Liverpool, and then Barrow came in and asked to take me there. So Liverpool were brilliant and just let me tear up the contract and walk out on a free to Barrow, and then ended up there for 6 months and played best part of 20 games as well. So that year for me was brilliant. The 6 months at Chester and the 6 months at Barrow, just, it was good because I wasn't playing at the start at Chester, managed to get in the team, play well, went to Barrow and had the opposite. I was playing at the start of the season, and then the manager decided to drop me and play someone else. So I had the chance of, looking back now, it was good to see how I handled being on the bench and working hard to get my place. And then the other way, going to Barrow, the team, and not doing too well, and managed to I got dropped from the manager and the other keeper starts playing. So for me, that was vital experience, going from a number 2 to a number 1, and then at the next club, going from a number 1 to a number 2. So I feel like it's been great experience. Got plenty of men's games under my belt over the year, so I think that stood me in good stead.
Is that something that you've been able to pass on in the likes of when you played with the Colts this season? Is that like being in a kind of a men's environment like that at a young age from the academy? Is that the kind of advice and the kind of experiences that you have been able to pass on to the younger guys coming through?
Yeah, massively. I tried to lead by example whenever I can, and obviously I played in the Inverness game up there in the Colts semi-final, and I just remember saying to the lads at half time, it doesn't matter how ugly we are, how pretty we are, we have to win this game. No one remembers teams that get to semi-finals and lose, or get to finals and lose. You've just got to find a way to win these games. Obviously, we didn't quite get the result in the end, and I said to the lads after the game, look, you've just got to use it as experience, because we were the much better team. We played all the nice football, we had the better chances and things like that. But at the end of the day, we couldn't take our chance, and they won the game. So I'm very cynical in the fact that I'd much rather play horrible football and ugly football and win than play pretty football and not get anything out of it. So obviously there is a balance in the middle of it. But yeah, I think that's just, it's hard to explain the men's environment until the lads actually go out and do it themselves. So I think the gaffer's massive on loans, and so is Bailey, just getting the lads out of the youth teams and the resis whenever they're ready, and then getting them into proper men's football.
We go back again to January 2019, and Rangers come calling. How big was that for you, and how did that all come about?
Yeah, it was just bizarre, really. Obviously, I was still in contact with the lads who were up here and the staff and things like that, but never really expected anything to happen. And then got a call from my agent just in between Christmas and New Year in 2018, just saying that he'd had a phone call from Rangers and they're looking for a keeper in January potentially. Would you be interested? And it was a fairly easy answer. I was out of favour at Barrow at the time, and I just thought the choice was I can either stay here and fight for my place at Barrow, or I can get myself up to Rangers. And it was a bit of a no-brainer. I loved my time at Barrow and got a lot of time for the players and the staff, and they're obviously doing so well this year. But I just thought at the time the no-brainer was to move up to Scotland, and it was a chance for me to live on my own for the first time, move out and get my own place and things like that. And I just feel like it's helped me grow up a lot. So yeah, so I spoke to my mum and dad, and they were on holiday at the time, and I told them what was happening, and they've never told me to do anything, but yeah, I could tell by my dad's voice that he was fairly interested in getting me to Rangers as soon as possible. And then thankfully it all worked out, and Robbie McCrory went on loan and I signed here the day after.
What did you know about Rangers and about the club before you came up, and has the size of the club and the expectations and things been a surprise to you in any way?
Looking back, I grew up with a lad at Liverpool called Ryan Fulton. He's at Hamilton now, and he's a massive Rangers fan. So I remember him telling me all about all the history behind the club and things like that, and the players they had in the 90s and the early 2000s when they were flying. So looking back, he's taught me probably more than anyone has before I signed here. But then you still don't expect the club to be as big as it is until you actually get here and you feel it and you see in the city. Obviously, everyone knows about the Old Firm rivalry, but until you're actually involved or until you're actually in the city, especially on Old Firm Day, and you can see the build up to the game and the hatred and the rivalry between the fans, it's it definitely, it's still, I thought I knew I was expecting, but it definitely still took me by surprise a bit, just how big the rivalry is, how big and historic both clubs are, and just how fierce it is in the city.
You're obviously, we've touched upon it, and obviously to be expected, you're a huge Liverpool fan. Do you consider yourself now to be a huge Rangers fan as well? Because the reason I ask is every time we see you and every time we kind of speak, you've always got a smile on your face. You always look like you're enjoying it. Your celebrations at Celtic Park late December and all that, they were all fantastic. The fans loved it. You've become a bit of a cult hero, if that's a kind of strange thing to say, because we love how much you love it, if that makes sense. Is that a fair kind of comment to make?
Yeah, it's not an act, it's not fake. It's easy for me because there's a lot of people when I was still down south looking at playing for Barrow and looking up across the border, I always wanted Rangers to do well, just for the manager, the staff, the lads I knew up here. So in a way, that's still the same. Just I love seeing people I like and I look up to do really well. So, and now I'm here, that still goes on hand in hand. I still want the manager to be successful, still want the staff to be successful, the players. Now I'm obviously mates with the full squad and things like that, and I'm here. There's no better feeling, and that is right up there with my career highlights. And I wasn't even on the bench, just being at Parkhead that day and just sprinting over to Raz when the whistle goes and picking him up. It was just the outpour of emotion was surreal. And yeah, it wasn't. I do get a lot of tweets, people saying sometimes it's fake or sometimes it's amazing, and people can have their own opinions on it, but I'll quite happily do all that over again.
So what is it like in a day in the life at Rangers, at the training ground? What time do you go in? How does it start? What kind of training, without giving away anything that you shouldn't, but how long do you do training for, and who do you work with? And for somebody that would be listening that didn't know anything about the day in the life of Andy Firth, what can you tell the fans about a normal day at the training ground?
To be fair, whichever club I've been at, it's always been very similar. Even at Liverpool, Barrow, Chester, now Rangers. I think all-time football's pretty much the same. It's usually a 9:30 report for a 10:30, 11 training, something like that. So you'll go in the morning, get changed, get your breakfast. Then you'll have bits of gym to do before training. Depending how close a game is, sometimes you'll have a meeting before training about how the opposition are going to play or how we're going to play. Different tweaks in style we might do or they might do, and then it's just straight on the pitch. Obviously, because we have that many games with different cup competitions in the Europa League and stuff, there isn't a lot of time for long training sessions on the pitch because of people on recovery from the night before or preparing for a game the next day. So sessions are quite short and sharp when the games are stacked up on top of each other. But I think that's where the stuff in the meeting rooms comes into play with the tactical stuff. Sometimes you don't need to be on the pitch. You can just walk through it in the indoor hall, or you can just put the pictures out on the slides for the lads to see and have a chat about it before games, and then the debriefs as well. So when we ever have debriefs of a game, it's just looking back at what we've done well, what we've not done well. I think that makes up for the time we don't get on the pitch because of the amount of games we have.
Looking at it a wee bit more, kind of from a fan's point of view, who's the main figures in the dressing room, and who's the guys that are maybe this is a wrong expression, but who's the loudest and who's the driving forces in the dressing room that push everybody on during training and in match days and things?
I think they're fairly self-explanatory. For me, I love Griggs. I've looked up to him since I've been here, and he's been brilliant for me on and off the pitch. And Griggs is the main one because I spend most time with him. He just drives the best out of the lads every day, and you can always hear him shouting. And I know I'm a big shouter as well, but so is Griggs. He loves just shouting at the lads and getting them into speed and things like that. And you can see that on a match day. He's a big person who likes to lead. I think Connor's a brilliant leader. Tav's obviously the captain. He's a good leader. You just need to. I think that's what the team needs. You just need leaders, and especially people with experience like Davo and Griggs. I know Davo's not the most vocal, but he was like the Gaffrey leads by example. He's always on time, always working hard in training. He's doing everything to the best of his ability, and I think that's what the rest of the lads have to look up to. Davo's been around for years. Griggs has been around for years. JD's another massive one. Obviously, the career he's had and still doing it at 37, 38. Like, you have to look up to the people that have been there and done it. For lads like myself who haven't had the career that they've had, you can only take inspiration and guidance from what they've done, and looking at them at the end of their career and how hard they still work and how professional they still are. I think that's what's good about the place. We've got a lot of younger lads who are starting. We've got lads in the middle who are kind of getting the peak of their careers, and then you've got lads like Griggsy, Davo, and JD who are obviously at the end, but they're still producing the goods for us this season, even at the ages they all are.
Something I wanted to ask you, obviously as a goalkeeper yourself, is about Alan McGregor. We've obviously known Alan. He grew up as part of Rangers and things like that. He then went away and came back. How highly do you rate Alan McGregor, and how good do you think he is?
So I had the chance to meet Griggs I was at Liverpool and went on a youth loan to Hull when I was 18. So I spent 2 weeks over in Hull and was training with Griggsy then. And because I wasn't really part of the team, like, we weren't that close. We spoke little bits here and there, but not too much. But then when I got the chance to move up here and work with him full time and get to know him a lot more on and off the pitch, it's been brilliant. I'd hand on heart say he's the best keeper I've worked with as a person and as a goalkeeper. He's just, to do what he's doing at 38 is ridiculous. The amount of big saves he's produced this season, and since I've been here for the last 18 months, I can't think of any goals where he's dropped absolute clangers. But the amount of world-class saves he's pulled off time and time again, especially in Europe where the level goes up even more and you need your keepers to be the hero sometimes. I think, look at some of his performances this year in the Europa League run we've had. He's been just absolutely incredible, especially and at 38 years old still doing that. I can't speak highly enough of him, and he's looked after me so much on and off the pitch and got a really good relationship with him, and it's just good to see him still doing as well as he is at the age he is.
How difficult is it for you? Because obviously you want to play, you want to be first team, but are you happy at the moment learning from Alan and then ready to take your chance in the future? Is that the way you're kind of looking at it at the moment?
Yeah, it's like you said before, I'm still in goalkeeping years, I'm still young. Obviously, Greasy's got 15 years on me, so that's still, in a football career, that's a long time. So I've just got to be patient and bide my chance. Obviously got my experience at Barrow playing, but the thing that wasn't too great about Barrow at the time, they didn't have a goalkeeper coach and neither did Chester. So I wasn't actually doing a lot of goalkeeping training, which probably held me back a bit. But then obviously the playing helped. So it's just finding the right balance. And I just thought the chance to come up here, work with obviously Greasy and Wes, and then work with a full-time goalie coach again, and knowing I'm a third choice keeper and I'm not going to play too many games, it just gives me a lot of time on the training pitch where I can work on everything I need to, and gives me a lot of time to get in the gym, things like that. I felt like I needed to start getting stronger and actually turn into a man. I feel like at the time that was the perfect answer. Just come to Rangers, you're not playing every weekend, so you've got loads of time to batter yourself in the gym, batter yourself on the pitch, and just keep gaining them little 1% here and there that are going to make you a better keeper. Obviously, I want to be the number one, but I'm realistic. I know at the moment we've got two very good keepers who I learn a lot from because they're so different. But at the end of the day, I want to be the number one, but I am also very realistic in the fact that at the moment, them two goalkeepers are very, very good.
Finally, just as we kind of can I get towards the end of this podcast, something I wanted to ask you. The dynamic at Rangers and the management between Steven Gerrard, Gary McAllister, Michael Beale, on paper it seems to be really well and really work well. Obviously, Gary Mack, again, a Liverpool legend, very much a Scottish legend as well. One of my heroes actually growing up, Gary McAllister, and I was delighted a couple of years ago I got to referee him in a charity thing. And I just said to him at the start, I said, Gary, you can do whatever you want during this game. You want to foul, you want to dive, you want to tell me when you get a free kick, just do it. And he's a really great guy. But for you, what's the balance like in the dressing room? Because what we like to know and the fans like to find out is there times where, it's the old hairdryer treatment, where's the balance and where they come from? Without obviously divulging too much, what are they like in the dressing room, particularly at times where things are good and times that are bad? What are they like?
I think that's the good thing about them. So obviously, Gary Mack's been around a few years more than the gaffer and played in a lot more old school teams. The gaffers, the other first team coach, Tom Coleshaw, he was at Liverpool as a kid, and he's very old school. But I think that's good. Beals is I'd say he's the most modern, as in like tactics and things like that. But they've all got the ability to throw the hairdryer when they need to and give lads a roasting when they need one. But then they're also there if you need an arm around your shoulder, if you need a little one-to-one, things like that, then they've got the ability between them to do that. Obviously, when it's going well, it's really easy. I think you find out who the best managers are when things aren't going so well, how they act with the lads, how they treat. Like sometimes if you lose a game, there's not a lot you can do. But sometimes when it's an awful performance and you win, then you also need to look at, we won, but why did we perform? Why didn't we play the way we should play? And to be fair to them, I think they do it really well. It is very hard. I think obviously at Rangers you're expected to win every game no matter what. So finding the balance between results and performances is sometimes hard, but I think that's good because they always want us to perform at the best, and then usually when you're performing well, the results take care of themselves.
Finally, I like to ask this question. I've never been able to speak to a current first team player, so this is a bit of a treat for everybody that listens to the podcast and things. So, one of legends of Rangers is Jimmy Bell. He's been with the club for so many years, and he's got a persona of a character of, like, Mr. Grumpy, Mr. Serious and things like that. But when you meet Jimmy, I've certainly met Jimmy a few times. I've been in his room at the training ground, and he's a fascinating character, a really, really good guy. But it's funny, people ask, and after maybe a bad result, wonder what Jimmy Bell's thinking and things like that. How does Jimmy players, and how do you get on with them?
Jimmy's amazing. He's an absolute legend. I've got all the time in the world for him. He's just, when I first went there, I'd obviously heard a few stories about him and stuff like that. And I remember on my first day I walked in and I wanted an Under Armour, like a tight top for training, and he just looked at me and snarled me and went, "You don't need one of them, you're all right." And I was like, oh my God, here we go. And then it took like a couple of weeks just to like break him down a little bit and getting his good books. And then since then we've just been flying. He's top draw. But you can tell if we've been beat the night before, just avoid him because he'll be sad, he'll be annoyed, he'll be angry. He's a fan. But then when we're on top of the world and we're winning, he's the one who's bouncing off the walls around the place, smiling, cracking all the jokes. But he's a top fella. I can't speak highly enough of him. And that's my favourite picture at Rangers. That the one where I signed my new deal and I had to go and get my shirt off Jimmy after one of the games and got a picture and I was made up. It was he's a top fella.
I think you need characters like that at football clubs, and he's certainly our one. Somebody that's loved universally by all the support and things like that. It's nice to see the rapport. I work with an old Rangers goalie called Mark Brown, and he speaks and tells some funny stories of Jimmy, similar to you actually. The very first time I had to go and ask him for kit, and it was basically snarled and growled at, and away he goes, and it's typical of what you kind of say and things. But I know that this is stuff that fans love to hear. I love hearing stuff like this.
He is the best. He is the biggest legend at Rangers that I think you could ever meet. He's unbelievable. Just the best thing you could do, just go and have a brew with Jimmy in an afternoon after training, and just you don't have to speak. You just sit there and listen to him, and he'll have his stories about Gaza, the Coist, whoever it is. He's got stories for you, and they are brilliant. I've told him he needs to be coming after than a speaker or write an autobiography or stuff, because it'd be a bestseller.
Yeah, I think the amount of gigs that Jimmy would get. I would love to have Jimmy on the podcast. He would be incredible.
It'd be, yeah.
Yeah, his stories would be something else. But Andy, listen, we're kind of at the end of the podcast. One thing I wanted to ask you is your plans for the downtime. What you watch? What's your box sets? What's your gaming? What's your plans for these kind of days?
To be honest, I'm not much of a box set guy. I don't really do too much on the telly. If I'm watching telly, it's usually because there's some footy on I can watch somewhere. So at the moment, it's just Xbox 24/7 really. Usually every day, me, Harry Wilson, Tom Brewitt, the boys just get on the Xbox, and I think I was on there for about 10 hours yesterday, just filling time wherever I could. So yeah, I'm definitely a Fortnite guy rather than a box set guy.
Never played it. Never. I've got young children, so my gaming time is very limited. I'm more of a football manager guy when I get the chance. But Andy, listen, thanks very much for joining us on the 4LadsHadADream podcast. It's been a real pleasure to speak to you, and I know that everybody will enjoy it because we're craving some news. We're craving, our kind of Rangers. No matter what goes on with the club, it's very much a way of life for everybody in terms of our lives and such a massive part. So great to speak to you. Thanks for joining us, and we wish you obviously all the best for the rest of the season if it does happen, or the pre-season, but the immediate future anyway. It's also good that you've signed your new deal and you'll be with us. So thanks for joining us again, and all the best.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
So that kind of wraps up our March edition of the 4LadsHadADream podcast. A massive thank you to Andy Firth for joining us. It was a real treat to have one of the first team players join us. For everybody else, I'll be writing blogs. I'll be trying to keep you updated with what's currently going on at the club as best we can. And I put out a blog this morning that gives the true updates of the investment and our new head of communications and the club's current position with the SPFL. So give that a wee read, and that's exactly where we are. Thanks to our sponsors, the Kerry's Crazy Costumes and the Kitchen Boys. They are fantastic. They give us the money to get these things edited and put them on and help us support the Rangers Youth Development Company. So, as again, thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to Andy Firth. I had a great time speaking to Andy. Even the wee stories about Jimmy Bell and that make it all worthwhile. Andy's a top lad. We wish him all the best for his Rangers career and his career in general, which we hope obviously is with the club in the future. To everybody else, the message obviously is always clear. We hope that you'll support the blog and support the website and come and have a look at us on Gersnet as well. Until then, everybody, thanks for joining us. Please ignore the nonsense, the irrelevant and the noise. Thank you.